Good afternoon, Irish fans, and welcome to another edition of the D Irish Fan podcast, where I am not an Irish fan. I am D Irish Fan. Look, we are about to play Georgia. It's about 3 o'clock, and I just had some final thoughts. I had to put them together. I gotta talk about this game. One, I haven't talked to you guys in a while, so my apologies about that. It's just I'm on vacation. It is the holidays. I've been spending time with the fam. And it's been a great time, and it's been a very relaxed, blessed time, so I've been really grateful for that. But I wanted to put some thoughts together just before the game. But before I do that, please like, share, comment, subscribe to this channel. Please click the notification bell that anytime I post, it will notify you and let you know that there is another The Irish Fan podcast where you can get on and listen to my sultry, amazing voice talk about Notre Dame football. And is there anything better than that? I don't think so. So, here it is. This is it. This is what it's all about. It's not a national title. It's not even the semifinal, where this is a quarter-final game. So I've been asked by a couple of people, hey, do you think Notre Dame's back? Is Notre Dame back? And if Notre Dame wins today against Georgia, are they back? My answer to that is very simple. It is no. No, we're not back. We will not be back until we win a national title. That is the standard at Notre Dame. That is why I have started doing this podcast. And that is what my goal through this podcast is. However small, however minute, to help Notre Dame get back into being a national championship winner. Not contender, winner. Today would be a win towards that goal, towards that overall goal. We have accomplished a lot of goals. We have this season. Making the playoff, getting a home playoff game, winning that home playoff game, check, check, check. All of those things check. There's only one more. Well, no, I should say there's two more. Obviously, the ultimate, winning the national title. The next one would be this game. Not just because it would be a win a win to get us to the next step. Obviously, that is a goal. But it's also a win against a premier team program of consequence. Teams and programs of consequence are the teams that have been winning consistently national championships over the last 10, 15 years. Georgia, Clemson, Ohio State, Bama. Bama didn't make it. Georgia did. So did Texas for the SEC. By the way, that Texas-Arizona State game was nuts. But I'm not going to talk about that. These kinds of games have always been litmus tests for where our program is. And in years past, other than a couple of wins against Clemson, which are nice, and I'll take them, that's great, we haven't fared well in these games. As a matter of fact, we've been killed in these games. Having that said, I will say this is the first time in a game like this that I feel like we're the better team. We may not have more 5 stars. We may not have more 4 stars, but I feel like we're the better, more coalesced team. And Georgia will not have their starting quarterback. I don't care who you are. I don't care what team you are. I don't even care if you are 2021 Georgia with that unbelievable all-world defense. Not having your starting quarterback play for you, that's a big deal. That is a big deal for an offense. Now, that could totally be okay for Georgia. Matter of fact, I heard another Notre Dame pundit talk about how that probably puts Georgia in a better advantage because they're now apt to do what they are actually built to do. Kirby Smart, some of these coaches, Ryan Day, same thing. They try to do things. They try to get too cute, and they try to do things that their team was not built for so that they can look like the smartest person in the room. Ryan Day is notorious for this. And against Michigan, for example, he wanted to prove that he was a tougher team than Michigan, so he just kept pounding it over and over and over again into a brick wall, and guess what? They lost. He goes away from that in the playoffs. He goes to their strength, which is on the outside, their athletes, their wide receivers, they're dink and dunking all over the field, throwing it over the top, touchdowns. They're killing people right now. Very, very scary team to play in the playoffs right now. Georgia, same thing. Georgia's normally the pound and ground type of team, but this season they've been trying to be that let's score 50 points a game, throw it down the field, something that Ohio State does. Quite the opposite. And Carson Beck has been one of the most prolific interception throwers over the course of the season in all of college football. Well, now they're not going to have that. They're going to have to get more down to their roots, which is scary for Notre Dame, because we're without Riley Mills, our top defensive lineman, and I'm just not sure that is going to be something we're going to be able to overcome. We have now lost our entire two deep at two different positions. Let me say that again. We have lost our two deep at two different positions. Viper and defensive tackle. Jordan Matello, Bubakar Traore at Viper, and Riley Mills and Jason Onier at defensive tackle. That's really hard. That's really, really hard to overcome. I don't know that we're going to be able to do it. Now, a benefit of that, some people that I'm hearing, I don't know if this is true or not, but people that I listen to, people who cover Notre Dame football, say that the better the run stopper is Riley Mills' backup, who's going to be playing today, Gabe Rubio. That he's actually the better run defender. Now that's good news for Notre Dame if George is going to try and pound the rock. But I don't know if it's going to matter if Gabe Rubio can't play a full. He's going to have to play 50 snaps. He hasn't done that all season. He's going to have to play He's going to have to be prepared to play 40 to 50 snaps. We'll see. We'll see if that injury was the straw that broke the camel's back for the Notre Dame defense. Here's how it can be equalized. My dad was talking to me yesterday. What does Notre Dame need to do? Well, obviously stop the run. But if we in the event that we can't do that, I think either way, whether we can stop the run or not, Riley Leonard has to be the quarterback that we all hoped that he would be at the beginning of the season. Riley Leonard has to play out of his mind. He has to. It's as simple as that. Unless we rush for 300 yards, which I don't see us doing. And I'm talking about big gash gains and touchdowns by Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price. I just don't see how we win this football game other than that scenario where Riley Leonard doesn't have a good game. And he's going to have to rush really well too. I need him, and I think Notre Dame needs him, to have a 250 type game in the air, 250 plus yards in the air, 50 to 80 yards on the ground, and 3 to 5 touchdowns. I just don't see any other way that we win this football game. If he has to go off, he has to have a good game. And to be fair, those numbers I just gave you, they're not something that he can't do. That's not asking him something that he is not able to do. He just hasn't done it all season. I mean, that's one of the big knocks on this football team is Riley Leonard really hasn't lived up to what we as Notre Dame fans wanted him to be. Again, most notably against Northern Illinois, he has gotten much better since then. That absolutely, we've won every single game. We've dominated every single game. Is that because of him? I don't think so. I've been one that has been critical of Riley Leonard from day one, since the first game I saw him play. He missed 3, at least 2, but in my opinion, he missed 3 wide open touchdowns against Texas A&M. That game should have been a much more of a bigger beatdown. And that's kind of one of the biggest frustrating things about this team is every single game that they played really well, and they for the most part dominated too, for the exception of 2 games, Louisville and USC. But you've left every single game in between, those games included, and in between going, man, if they could just do this, this, and this, they would have won by so much more. And I don't know, it's always left something to be desired. If there's some, as a football fan, as a person who watches the game like a coach, you always want to leave every single game no matter what, even if it's a 56 to goose egg beatdown. You always want to leave each game going, man, okay, we still have some things to clean up. We still have things to worry about. But not one single game this year have I left going, man, that was such a complete and dominant win. Maybe Navy, maybe Army. I just don't know of a game outside of those 2 games. I Purdue, sure. I mean, you could say Purdue, but you're talking about one of the worst teams, if not the worst team in college football. One of the worst Purdue football teams I've ever seen in my life. So I don't really count them. But I don't know. There's just always been something left to be desired. And I realize this could be a very picky thing to talk about, a very, very, very picky type subject that I'm talking about, you know. But it's got to come together today. The reason why I'm talking about it is because it has to come together today. What we cannot, each game I've talked about in previous episodes, each game you can't lose this game for this, that, and the other reason. You know, you couldn't have a 2-loss season with your 2 losses being against Northern Illinois and Navy, for example. You couldn't have your playoff loss earlier at home and against Indiana in a Cinderella season. You know, you couldn't have, there's certain scenarios you cannot have happen. Notre Dame is not in a must-win scenario. The program is in good shape. We're recruiting just fine. Marcus Freeman has got this program turned around from the Brian Kelly era. It is a completely different looking type of football team. I think we are the better football team on the field today. Here's why getting beat down by Georgia can't happen. Because if it does happen, everything I just said is completely gone. Everything I just said is gone. For the exception of Marcus Freeman being a good coach and the program being turned around. I understand that those aren't small things. Having that said, if we get beat down today, it's complete to the outside observer in a game of perception, which college football is, it's indistinguishable from the Brian Kelly era. That's what we need this game to be. It's got to be set apart from the Brian Kelly era. Well, Danny, Brian Kelly football teams in 2017 and 2019 took Georgia all the way down to the final stretch of the game. Yes, they did. But they had a couple of beatdowns by Bama in between. We've lost to Ohio State twice. And by the way, we lost those games. We lost them. We've lost to in the last 10 years. We've lost to Alabama once. We lost them in 2012. There were both beatdowns in 2012 and 2020. Beatdowns by Alabama. We lost in 2017 and 2019 to Georgia. We lost in 2022 and 2023 to Ohio State. I don't put Texas A&M in that category. It was a good win. It was a great win against an SEC team. I'm not taking that away. At Texas A&M, first game of the season, all the things. It was a great win. Texas A&M is not a team of consequence. Texas A&M hasn't won a national championship since before World War II. Let that sink in for a second. This is a team of consequence. This is Kirby Smart. Closest thing we're going to get to Nick Saban type of coach. We have got to show that we belong on the same field as Georgia. Win, lose, or draw, we've got to show we belong on the same field. It's most important, not just for the season and moving on to get the ultimate goal, which is the national title, but it's most important in the area of recruiting. If we get beat down, any kid that is deciding, not just between Georgia and Notre Dame, but an SEC team and Notre Dame, it's going to show them that the same old schools that are winning national championships, like Georgia and Ohio State, and I realize Texas hasn't won since the Vince Young era, but they're recruiting well. They have a good coach. I believe we have a good coach, and he has turned the program around in recruiting, like I just said, but, man, game of perception. It shows everybody where we are, including recruits. Man, you see, look, Georgia, they were kind of down. They had a backup quarterback. And look, they still beat Notre Dame 35-3. Can't happen. Cannot happen. Look, I don't think that's going to happen. But I'm also saying it can't happen. It can't happen. So, look, I said it before. What needs to happen? Riley Leonard's got to go off. Riley Leonard has got to go off. Maybe he doesn't get the yards, but he's got to make a couple of plays. Got to. He's got to be accurate. He's got to be decisive. No dropping back and double clutching because you're just not sure. If there's a double move call, fine. But no double moves because you're just not sure. Be confident. Throw the ball with authority. Accurate. Receivers, catch everything with your hands. We've had a lot of drops in the last couple of weeks. Last couple of months, really. Bo Collins, I'm looking at you. We have got to take care of the ball. Running backs, Riley Leonard, do not fumble anything. Line, block. As good as you've blocked all season, we've got to play well. I'm not saying we've got to put together the perfect game, but man, it certainly doesn't hurt. We need Riley Leonard to go off. And we just have to have the defense be able to hold their own. Okay. Georgia might be able to rush for 250 yards. And we might be, and I think if that happens, we can still overcome that as long as we don't turn Gunnar Stockton into a Heisman Trophy candidate. Like so many Notre Dame football teams in the past have been able to do. Remember Devin Cajuste? Any true Notre Dame fan knows that name. Knows that he did nothing in the games before and nothing in his games afterwards, but he managed to look like the best tight end in the country against Notre Dame that one night. He helped beat Stanford, beat Notre Dame several years ago, 2014, I think, 15 maybe. Can't happen. We can't have that kind of game. We can't have Gunnar Stockton all of a sudden being a Heisman Trophy candidate next season because he annihilated Notre Dame. Notre Dame made Jamarcus Russell $50 million of guaranteed money. In the Superdome, I might add. In 2006. Because we weren't prepared and we were so far behind as a program. And we made him look like he was amazing. He gets into the NFL and he's one of the biggest draft busts of all time. Because he looks so good against Notre Dame. We can't have that happen. Can't have that happen. Notre Dame, play your game. Play disciplined. Tackle. Read. Take care of the football. If you do those things, I think we're going to win today. Having that said, what's my prediction? I got Notre Dame 26, Georgia 24. We're going to make enough plays. We're going to do enough things at the end of the game. I believe Riley Leonard is going to finally put together a complete game or he's going to make enough plays at the very end to win the football game. That's my prediction. Irish 26, Georgia Bulldogs 24. We move on to the next round to play Penn State next week in a big semifinal matchup, and I'm looking forward to that. So win, lose, or draw, you're going to hear from me after this game. You're going to hear my thoughts. I love the Irish. I love you guys. Thank you so much for listening. Please, once again, like, share, comment, subscribe, and click the notification bell so that you know every single time I post an episode. I will catch you guys on the flip side. Now I'm done.